in Richmond.
I'd like to call this county council meeting to order. This time I'll have a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed by the same sign. The ayes have it, Ms. Brown. We'll now have our invocation by Ms. Kennedy.
Thank you, sir. Would you all let's bow in prayer, please? Dear Lord, we come to you in prayer tonight after a busy day. And I just ask that you have been with us all through this day and that you will be with us through the night. Give us all your grace and your love and your mercy. We need these to be able to combat this life. I ask that you be with our meeting tonight, that you bless every family that is represented in this room tonight, and thank you for the many, many blessings that you give to us. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Ms. Kennedy.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry. You approved the agenda so quickly, got past me there. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to request unanimous consent from the council to add 2 items under my report.
Okay.
One would be a legal settlement update, and the second would be report on a federal flood map revision potential contract.
Let me see a show of hands of all those who agree with this. Thank you. That's unanimous. Thank you, Mr. Pope. We will now move down to public presentations. Mr. John Henderson, SCAC Workers' Compensation and Property and Liability Insurance Trust. Receive a motion to approve the minutes of regular meeting February 10th, 2014.
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed by the same sign, the ayes have it. Now, public presentation. Is Mr. Henderson here, Ms. Brown?
I didn't see him earlier, and I believe not at this point, but I understand that he is expected to be here.
Well, we'll move on and back up to that. Our second presentation tonight was going to be given by Ms. Jane Scarborough from the Old English District and Ms. Denise Jones from the Chamber of Commerce. If you ladies would come to the podium, please.
And Chairman, may I ask Pelham Lyles to join us?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. This award was to be given to Pelham at the South Carolina Governor's Conference on Travel and Tourism about a week and a half ago. However, the weather situation took a turn on us, and Pelham was willing to come down, but Terry and Lynn and I were leaving. We did not want to be caught in Hilton Head for an extended period of time, so we turned around and came back, and we're glad that we did. But in selecting this award, there were nominations from all of South Carolina, from all of the 11 tourism regions, and it was judged by a distinguished panel of 6 North Carolina judges, and they did an extensive review of the nominations. Once the review was complete, the judges selected Pelham Lyles with the Fairfield County Museum as the 2013 South Carolina Hospitality Employee of the Year. And before I go any further, that deserves a round of applause. Many of y'all know that Pelham is an 8th generation resident of Fairfield County, and her family has a rich history in the area. It's that history, coupled with Pelham's curiosity about what the lives of others were like, that led her to have the desire to share Fairfield County's history with others. Pelham is, of course, the museum's sole employee, and she's tripled visitation in the last 3 years, and that really, really impressed the judges. She accomplished this through a variety of programs, including bringing Smithsonian exhibits to the museum. Additionally, the panel was impressed with her passion and long-time commitment to taking a small attraction and building it into something quite significant to attract visitors. She took her tourism attraction from only being open a few days a week to a full-time operation through grants, additional county funding, and volunteers. She has made her attraction a model for overcoming staff and budgetary limitations. Pelham has extended the walls of the museum, too, to include other historical sites. To this end, she has championed the cause of historic preservation, writing grants, and organizing projects to prevent the demolition of or to restore many historic architectural structures. We congratulate Pelham on her wonderful accomplishments and know she will continue to do great work with visitors throughout Fairfield County. And this was the presentation that would have been given at the governor's conference. The governor could not make it either, and Denise is going to read a letter from her of congratulations, but I do want to go ahead and present you with the award. And I said 2013, I'm sorry, it's the 2014 South Carolina Hospitality Employee of the Year, Pelham Lyles, Fairfield County Museum, Old English District Tourism Commission, and it's presented by the South Carolina Association of Tourism Regions, as well as South Carolina Parks, Recreation, and Tourism. My friend, congratulations.
As Jane said, this is a letter from Governor Nikki Haley. Dear Ms. Lyles, on behalf of the people of South Carolina, I am pleased to congratulate you on your selection as the statewide Tourism Employee of the Year. It's a great day in South Carolina when we can recognize our citizens whose hard work contributes so much to our state's multi-billion-dollar tourism industry. Through your leadership at the Fairfield County Historical Museum, you play a vital role in preserving and promoting the rich heritage of Fairfield County, offering unique and varied attractions to residents and visitors alike. The museum helps to showcase Fairfield County and further our state's reputation as a world-class tourist destination. Michael and I thank you for your dedication to the Palmetto State as we wish you the best for continued success. God bless. My very best, Nikki R. Haley. And she wrote congratulations.
I'd like to give some thanks to, because it's not a one-man operation, and I know you've all heard me say it before. But first, I want to thank the council and Mr. Pope for what they've done just in the last few months. Things that have been needed for a long time. First of all, the front door and the back door of the museum, 185-year-old doors in a National Historic Registry building were falling apart. Just when you closed them, it rattled, the parts did. And we didn't want to see anything happen to those doors that would be too modern for the building. And y'all were able to agree to let us go ahead and have a preservationist group rebuild those doors, and they are beautiful, so I hope you'll come by and see those. And I also want to thank you, because now no longer can we say that it's a single staff museum. You have allowed me to have a part-time person to work the genealogy room. Genealogy room has become huge, and we had a guy who was basically volunteering. He was working for minimum wage and a number of hours, and he was driving all the way from the Orangeburg area. So now he's able to afford to make that trip and to do what he needs to do, and it's a wonderful job. I think you'd be amazed at what's going on there. I want to thank Terry Vickers for, and I'm just going to read what I wrote because I didn't write a lot, but for understanding and teaching me about the strengths in partnering with our community organizations, because it doesn't work when one group puts on an event. It works when several groups get together and we put on a community event. To the volunteers, they're the army that makes it happen at the museum. First of all, I want to honor the spirit of my father, who is soon to be 95, and he goes by the name Brother, which people get really freaked out when I say my father, brother. He'll be 95 in June. He inspired me as a child to be a lifelong learner and to be involved with my community, and I have him to thank for that. And in the 1960s and 70s, when the museum building was a derelict old building about to fall down, and it dates from 1830, he was able to get the powers to be to have the building donated to the county for a museum. And because he was working in construction, he was able to do most of the work that had to be done, and he could tell you all about what all they did. And he did this free. He was a member of the commission, the historical commission, and he donated his time for many years. I still call on him and say, "Daddy, something's not right in the attic, what's it supposed to be up there?" And he said, "Oh, well, we put so-and-so up there." So it's really great. I have it all in the family, I guess, to some degree. I want to thank the steady stream of the most willing, energetic volunteers who have provided steam, elbow grease, and hard work to not only help better the way the museum operates, but to help us to interpret our history, because it's always changing. People think history stays the same. It doesn't. We keep adding more pieces to the history of our county, and the history is important. Don't tell me it's a thrill. If you know where you come from, you know where you're going. So I feel and you can tell I'm on the podium here. And I have to thank one more person, my boyfriend Val, who has assisted with research on many museum projects, and regardless of his expressed annoyance for my many post-workday hours by characterizing them as dalliances with the dead, has supported me over many years and offered his own vast store of knowledge about Native Americans, the early colonial period, and the topography and features of the natural world around us. And if you want to meet one of his friends, his former buffalo herd resides on the second floor of the museum and will be hanging on the wall before too long. Buffalo Head. So I want to thank you, and just as a little addendum, I want to introduce a new partnering person who's going to bring a new diversity of industry to Fairfield County, as I like to see it, in agriculture. Alvaro Valle is going to be bringing in a herd to my property of Asian buffalo, and these are not bison. These are not the animals that are antagonistic. These are animals that they produce the organic quality mozzarella cheese from, and that's going to be a new Fairfield County industry. So I'd like you to introduce yourselves to them.
Helen, would you come by and let the council congratulate you, please?
Congratulations.
I would like to say on behalf of council, known Pelham all her life, when she was a teacher, have known Brother all of my life, because he's a few years older than I am, but he's been a fellow in this community for many, many years, and Pelham was, like I say, in the teaching profession for years with us, and then moved on to the museum, and she's done a wonderful job, and we're proud of you, Pelham. State recognition is something that's really to be proud of. Thank you. We will now move down to, did Mr. John Henderson by chance come in? Okay. We will move on to our first public comment. Ms. Brown?
Ms. Beth Jenkins, on the subject of invocation and legal advice, and then Mr. William Coleman on county council time.
My name is Beth Jenkins. I'm from Winsboro, District 2, and I would like to request, under the circumstances, that the invocation being said by someone on council, I find extremely disturbing and hypocritical, and under the circumstances, I would like to request that you just have a moment of silence, and I believe we can all say our own prayer. I do find it disturbing, like I said, under the circumstances, and that's what I have to say about invocation. And please remember that on your agenda here, it says that you're going to receive legal advice, and I think the citizens need to know what type of legal advice or what it's in reference to. We'll do that information. Thank you.
Thank you.
Council, I'm William Coleman, and I reside in the Blair area of District 3. I'm here tonight to address Councilman Trapp's remarks at the last council meeting during county council time, when he stated, among other things, that some members of this audience were targeting S2 because it is a black company and that white people were the ones doing the targeting. I was both shocked and appalled that you could or would pull out the race card. Skin color has nothing to do with all the bad workmanship and expensive costs to this county. How dare you try to turn this into a racial issue? Mr. Trapp, I'm colorblind. I think that most, if not all, of those in this audience and also in the TV audience are too. And until last council meeting, I thought you were also. Until Mr. Savage was here in this council chamber, I had no idea what his skin color was. It didn't matter, and it still doesn't matter. I hope I make myself clear on this. Mr. Trapp, I supported you in your past elections, both in voting for you and contributing to your campaign. But I will be willing to bet you will deny me contributing to your campaign, and I'll bet you didn't report it either. I have even contributed to your back to school supplies drive, and even got others to support this also. And 2 weeks ago, you pulled out the race card. I left here wondering what that was all about. Then I started thinking, why? It didn't take me long to come up with reasons. Reasons like you being questioned about tuition payments in lieu of health insurance, missing so many meetings. I could go on and on. Your second job here pays pretty well for the time spent, and I know you would have to make lifestyle changes to adjust if you didn't win the election. You won't get my vote or support. I think I remember that Mr. Brown made a motion at the council meeting about a month ago that all of S2 projects be reviewed. If my memory serves me correctly, you, Mr. Trapp, along with the other council members present, voted in favor of doing so. It's very interesting to note that you voted in favor of looking at S2 then, and in the last council meeting you said what you did. And I don't want to hear that you voted as you did to clear S2 of wrongdoing. If that were the case, I think I know you well enough that you would have stated such before the vote. I got some other things. I guess I'll just have to hold them to the next council meeting. Thank you.
No one else signed.
We will move down now to Section 8, ordinance resolutions in order, first reading by title only of ordinance number 624. Would you post that ordinance for us, Ms. Brown?
Authorizing an amendment to the master agreement governing the I-77 corridor regional industrial park by and between Richland County, South Carolina and Fairfield County, South Carolina to expand the boundaries of the park to include certain real property located in Richland County and other related matters.
Before we vote on this, Mr. Pope, would you expound for the audience's behalf on what this actually entails?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, council, citizens of Fairfield County. Just simply what the master agreement is, it is a multi-county park agreement that is typical in the state of South Carolina, where you have developed counties that partner with rural or undeveloped counties, so that when you have economic development projects, both can take advantage of parts of those. And by Fairfield having a relationship with Richland County, it offers a lot of actually economic development dollars to us. And based upon things, of course, that occur in Richland County, Fairfield County actually gets an advantage of that. So this is just expanding that multi-county park agreement itself through projects, and is very typical in the state of South Carolina between developed and undeveloped counties.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed by the same sign. The ayes have it. Under number 9, board and commission minutes, you'll see that you were sent minutes from the Fairfield County Art and Aeronautics Commission. If you would look at the sheet that you received this afternoon on board and commission appointments, I will take these by A, B, C, and D. The first one is behavioral health. Do I have a motion?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed by the same sign. The ayes have it. B, fire commission.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed by the same sign. The ayes have it. C is planning commission. I have a motion.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed by the same sign. The ayes have it. Last one is D, zoning board of appeals, and we have 2 on that. Do I have a motion?
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed by the same sign. The ayes have it. Mr. Bryant, could you post those names for the audience, please?
Yes, sir. The appointments tonight to the Behavioral Health Services Board was Ms. Virginia Schaefer, representing District 6. And for the Fire Commission, Mr. Charlie Tillman, who will be the representative for the Feasterville Volunteer Fire Department. For the Planning Commission, Ms. Lonnie Horton, representing District 3. The Zoning Board of Appeals, Mr. Dwight Cooper, representing District 5, and Ms. Polly Phillips, representing District 6.
Thank you. And now down to 11, we don't have any old business. Down to 12, new business, naming of Industrial Park Road, Mr. Pope.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and council. The issue that we have before you is consideration of naming of the Industrial Park Road. Typically, how roads get named in the county, of course, those would first go through the Planning Commission and then come to you. However, since the county council has formed and kind of set up the industrial park, we would ask the council for their consideration regarding naming the park. Then we would actually send that information to the Planning Commission for their review, and then, of course, it would actually come back to you. But the names that we have, and the clerk actually submitted this electronically to you in your packet before the public's sake who may not have had the packet. I'll just read out the 5 names that were submitted. However, of course, you can add any other names for consideration. The first was Pinnacle Point. The second was Summit Parkway. 3 was Buena Vista Drive. 4 was Meridian Parkway. And the 5th suggestion was Commerce Parkway. And just to make mention of that, we have a Commerce Drive at Walter Brown 1, but that wouldn't be a problem because in our GIS system it would differentiate that. So if, having similar names, but Commerce Parkway is the 5th suggestion or recommendation to you. So those were the ones, and I think these names over time had been maybe just kind of bounced around, so we officially ask your consideration regarding one of the choices or maybe another choice that you may have.
council, if it please the council, maybe what would be the appropriate thing to do here was to not vote on this issue tonight, give council time to deal with it. Also to come up with additional names if they want to, and put this on the agenda at our next meeting, Ms. Brown. Is that amenable with the council? Okay, thank you. Now, Mr. Pope, we're down to item B.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The next item is Highway 34 and Highway 21 interchange, Ridgeway, South Carolina. The clerk had also included in your packet, sent out information that we had received from the South Carolina Department of Transportation regarding a project that had been first, I think years ago, brought to the county council for consideration. Funding on this project was researched through the Central Midlands Council of Governments, and I think there had been some recent comments, and we had some meetings about this, and as a matter of fact, it came up at our intergovernmental meeting that we had with various partners in the county, and I think that there was a recommendation from that meeting regarding how or if we wanted to move forward on that project.
Okay. We'll do this in two parts. Mr. Brown is over the Rural Transportation Committee with the COG, and this has to be cleared one way or the other through his committee, and that committee is to meet at 1 o'clock on this coming Thursday. Council has to make a formal recommendation to that committee if we want to leave that intersection on to be changed, or do we want it to be pulled, and hopefully the expenditure that would have been there be moved to another expenditure here in the county. And that's basically what we talked about the other night. And Mr. Brown, do you have a motion one way or the other?
I'll make a motion for us to forego this interchange at this time and let it be brought up at my committee on Thursday, which is already on the agenda. And let us talk about it and see if our alternative might be available.
Second that motion, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. So your motion is, Mr. Brown, that we forego this intersection change at this time. Okay? Any other questions? Mr. Perry?
Yeah, I just want to say, Mr. Chairman, and share this with council, the area that this intersection impacts is located right at Lebanon Presbyterian Church, right there in Ridgeway. And I have gotten numerous calls from the individuals that attend that church and that live nearby that is adamantly opposed to that intersection being there, Mr. Brown. So when you have your committee meeting on Thursday, would you please share that with the committee?
Mr. Chairman, if I may, when this came up years ago, it wasn't only the interchange that we were concerned about. What we were hoping to do is have a cut-through road going from 21 over to 34. So you will have a truck route going from 34 to the 34 bypass. And there was no money in this funding to buy any right-of-way going from Highway 34 from Highway 21 over to 34. And you got a very curvy road, which is not truck friendly in any way, shape, or form. Plus, it goes through a neighborhood, so that wouldn't work. So the only thing this was doing was just helping out with a very wide and long intersection. The South Carolina Highway Department says it hadn't been enough incidents there to warrant this intersection, and they are opposed to it, but like I said, we did this a number of years ago and finally got funding, and funding came from a federal grant on highway safety at intersections. And what we're hoping to do is move that to highway safety on our road instead of on the intersection. So if we can move that, it would be better than the intersection, hopefully.
I was just going to ask for some additional explanation, which they've given based on things that were said at the intergovernmental meeting the other night, and how the citizens that it affects actually feel.
This intersection change was going to take property from Lebanon Presbyterian Church, from the healthcare center in Ridgeway, and it was going to actually physically close the service station that was there on the bypass side. So that was, it was a pretty big blow to that particular section of Ridgeway, and that was, or right outside Ridgeway. It's actually out in the county. But those, like Mr. Perry said, those folks were very adamant about not giving up their property, especially at the church. And so that was the reason, the rationale behind us reconsidering that thing and going to vote here tonight to take Mr. Brown's recommendation. And did I get a second for that? All right. Okay. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed by the same sign. Thank you, Mr. Brown. The ayes have it. We are now down to County Administrator's Report. Mr. Pope.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, again. First item we have is our county spotlight from our Public Works Department. We have Mr. Jake Gasson. Mr. Gasson. Thanks, Jake.
Evening, council, citizens, Fairfield. My name is Jake Guest, and I'm with Fairfield County Public Works, Solid Waste and Recycling Department. Been here about 5 years now, and enjoyed the time thus far, as well as working with Mr. Pope since he's been here, and council and everyone else. So what we'll do here, I'm just going to briefly just kind of talk a little bit about what Public Works is, what all we do, kind of how we do it, and things like that, just to give everybody a overview. I know we'll get calls sometimes, and even when I talk to people just kind of randomly, they say, well, what is Public Works? And so, I mean, try and give a little knowledge and insight best I can here, so I appreciate your time. Just starting off, who is Public Works? We consist of road maintenance, solid waste, and recycling. We have 27 full-time employees, 16 road maintenance, 11 solid waste. We have about 40 part-time temporary recycling attendants. Normally with our attendants, we kind of about 4-hour shifts. Most of those folks are most are elder, and so therefore we have quite a few of those attendants that work at the recycling centers. We also have what we have put in a few years ago called the day labor position, which is a position that I'm kind of proud to say it's a temporary position. You kind of come in and start off cutting grass and other things, but it has led to several full-time jobs in our road maintenance department, which is a good thing. And so a lot of those employees that have come in that position, only working 25 hours a week kind of thing right now, but a lot of those folks have been with us for over a year, did a good job, and then something come open and they were kind of ready for it, so we moved them in. So that's also, we have those positions as well under Public Works, and I say fully staffed, around 75 employees, and that's mainly with the recycling attendants. Road maintenance, what we do, we have about 350 miles or so of county roads, dirt and paved, majority of those being dirt. I say dirt base and like crush and run gravel. We do have some what we call paved roads, which is it's a triple treatment is what it is, but it's basically like a tar and gravel type treatment. Something we've been working with the CTC, County Transportation Committee, on for some years now, working to pave as many as the county dirt roads as we can, get people out of dust and on a hard surface. We maintain pretty much everything you can when it comes to the road, the ditches, the grass, drainage pipes, potholes on some of those paved roads, etc. We also work with all the county facilities, parking lots and things like that. You have fire, EMS stations, the administration parking lots in the back, transit, any county facility that we work with the hospital as well, try and work best we can with those on whatever we can do. County policy, we install driveway pipes, 24 feet of concrete pipe at no cost to a citizen. New residents, so if you come in, build a house on a county road, we'll come out, put 24 feet of concrete pipe in for you and cover that up with crush and run and gravel, and that's no cost. We do offer, if some folks want a larger driveway or would like a second driveway, then we do offer, we will put it in, you just have to pay for the cost of the pipe. But standard 24 feet of 15-inch concrete pipe. Also, one thing that we haven't done any lately, but we will fill in abandoned wells. No cost if you have an abandoned well, we can come out and fill that in and help you. One of our bigger projects gets confused quite often, street signs. We maintain all the street signs, and it's always confusing for some folks. You have state roads, county roads, and then you've also got town, and then you've got some private stuff. But as far as the county, we maintain all street signs except for in the town. Town handles their own street signs, but regardless if it's a state road or county road, we're responsible for the signs. So if you have a sign that's down and you're not sure who to call, then call Public Works, and we'll try and get that replaced for you. Assisting emergency personnel, we work with EMS. There's a lot of times where you may have a driveway or something. There's a person who can't, EMS can't get to their house. We'll go out and work with them. Whatever we can do to make that work. Transit's the same way. We have happens, from time to time where they can't get in and out safely, and so we'll work with them to maybe put a little grade on it and some gravel or something like that. 911, we have folks on call, 2 people per week, and if a tree or something goes down on a county road blocking, and we work with 911, they'll contact us, and then we can try and take care of that. Fire service as well. We've worked with Tony Hill with the fire department, and to try and work with them on some of the stations and things like that. Whatever we can do to I said CTC earlier, that's a County Transportation Committee. We work with the county engineer on the Transportation Committee, as well as the Transportation Committee itself for paving county dirt roads. How we do it, quite a few ways on how we do it. A couple of pictures here is just motor graders. We have 4 motor graders, 3 large, like the size like you see here, and then 1 smaller we use for smaller jobs where it's a little bit tight to get in and out. And the way we kind of work it, we have 2 kind of rotating around the county, weather permitting at all times, scraping roads. And then we also have one grader who, the lead man, stays with the trucks, putting gravel on roads. And also backhoe. We have 1 backhoe within the county to use for driveway pipes and whatever else we need for the situation. Okay. We have 2 front end loaders. 1 we keep at the camp pretty much at all times, loading crush and run in our trucks. We also have 1 at our wood chipping and limb site, loading mulch. If you've been there and picked up any mulch, then that's 1 of our county loaders as well. We have about 7 or 8 single axle dump trucks, and we have a couple bigger trucks as well for hauling crush and run back and forth from the quarry. Our dump trucks, you'll see them a lot of times one by one behind one another, and they're normally going to a job site, freshening up county roads and that sort of thing. Pickup trucks, like you see in the picture, we've got a couple of these crew cabs that go around all the recycling centers picking up recyclables. From time to time, you'll see these trucks on county roads as well. If we get a call about a clogged up ditch or something, then we'll send these guys out if they can, do it by hand, and we'll do that. And so that's a couple more means that we have. Our newest piece of equipment that we have not started yet, just because the weather hadn't warmed up enough. We just got this in about 3 or 4 weeks ago. We worked with the CTC on purchasing this patching machine is what it is. You've seen the state has them where you go around and you fill in potholes. And what we're doing now, is working, but it doesn't last as long. And so we've worked with the CTC, partnered, on a 50-50 split in purchasing the machine, which is kind of neat. There's no CTC in the past really had ventured out and tried to work with the counties on maintenance of these roads. Once you kind of get them in place, just kind of you're stuck with what do we do. And so we worked together and come up with a solution And to get this machine here, and once the weather warms up, you'll start seeing this out on roads. If you have some potholes on these paved roads, we'll send this machine out with a couple of guys in a truck. It's got some tar and gravel. You mix it in, pack it in, and it should last a lot longer than the little bags of cold patch we're using now. A little more on road maintenance. We do have one bulldozer. It's quite a bit aged, but we don't use a dozer a whole lot. But in this little project here was a little recycling center, a little small site we were working on. And this is our bulldozer here we will use for clearing small jobs and things that it can do. On the right is just some pictures of CTC project where we were working with them on paving a county road. CTC does paving, but also if the road needs proper drainage, we always check to see if the pipes are able to handle the amount of water that's coming in. In this situation here, it warranted a bigger drainage pipe, and so that's what we're doing here is taking care of that. Moving along, solid waste and recycling, we have 11 full-time employees, about 40 attendants, as I'd said before. 11 collection centers spread out all over the county. We call them collection centers because you can take trash as well as recycling. We provide service also to Fairfield County schools. We have dumpsters located at all 8 schools in the county. We also have cardboard trailers to where we recycle the cardboard and haul that to one of our cardboard site, which is located on Old Airport Road. We said county buildings, we'll work to maintain county buildings, whatever we can, to do that. I got partnering with Salkehatchie. For you that don't know, you've probably seen them, but Salkehatchie comes in every summer and works on some homes that are kind of in bad shape and things like that. And so what we'll do is solid waste. We'll take dumpsters out and place them at the job site, and then we'll pick them up and haul them and dump them and that sort of thing. Working with code enforcement just recently, since code enforcement has had some new things come in place. If they get a situation to where a facility or home or something has to be torn down, and then they can't fund it themselves in the county, we'll work with them, take a dumpster out there to the job site, as long as the residence is responsible for cleaning it up, and then we'll haul that off, work with code enforcement on that. Community cleanups, Pig on the Ridge, Rocking Around Clock, things like that, we'll take dumpsters out and set them on site. That way, take care of the trash, and those sorts of things. Any kind of county function like that, be happy to work with. As I was saying, we have 11 collection centers. The hours are 7 to 7. Monday through Saturday. We are closed on Wednesday for maintenance on our compactors and other things at the site, and then we're open 2 to 6 on Sunday. What we take, I say almost everything, because we don't have a landfill in the county. We have a transfer station, which transfer station is owned and operated by Waste Management. But any trash we pick up from our county facilities, we haul to the transfer station, and then they will haul that to Screaming Eagle Road in Columbia. And so we take about everything. I say about everything. No C&D, construction and demolition, concrete, bricks. All that is mandated by Waste Management because their transfer station is MSW, just solid waste only. So we do what we can on that. Recycling, one of the busiest and biggest little things we have under Public Works. I say almost everything, and you can see I've got some little brochures we have scattered all out over the county. There's some downstairs as well. I've had Ms. Brown pass some to the council, but recycling, you'll see a lot of things at the sites, and I had a gentleman that came in the other day to our office and said, well, none of that stuff goes anywhere. It's just all trash anyway. And I try to explain to him, well, actually, it's just about everything we have, everything we can, we'll recycle it. Cardboard, magazines, paper, newspaper, all go in the one location, the trailer. We bale it all up, pack it, and send it to Sunoco. Aluminum cans, same way goes to Sunoco recycling. Batteries, used to get a lot of batteries, and now we don't get quite as many batteries. People are probably doing their own type of recycling with batteries and such. But we do all these things you see. Cooking oil, Midland's biofuel. If you notice, they have the containers at our sites. We work with them. Electronics is something we call e-waste, a new thing that's kind of come down within the past couple of years. TVs, computers, monitors, basically anything with a plug is an easy way to determine if it's an electronic or not. We work with a company, several companies on the electronics, on getting rid of those. Glass is probably the newest one the county's brought in. There's not a whole lot, you don't get a whole lot for glass, but it does have a lot of weight. And the way we look at it is, it costs about $53 a ton to get rid of trash at our transfer station that goes to Columbia. So every ton we recycle is basically $53 that saves the county from going to the landfill. And glass is heavy. Some of these things, aluminum cans, batteries, cardboard, all that stuff, we actually do get money in return for, and it generates a little revenue. The glass doesn't generate much revenue, but we look at it as every ton of glass we save, that's $53 that the county didn't have to pay for on the transportation. Motor oil filters, all sorts of plastics. Plastics is just a whole different beast. Everybody says, well, it's plastic. It can be recycled, and the easy way to, without getting in all those numbers and stuff, because even that confuses me at times, is if it's got a neck on it, water bottles, anything with a screw on top, we'll take it. Sunoco will take it. The problem with everything plastic going in is Sunoco and Columbia they limits what we can take. Some things just aren't that far along yet to where we can recycle all those things. So we do take plastic. Scrap metal is probably the biggest revenue generator for us. Some years ago, we were probably making anywhere from $60,000 to $70,000 a year off of scrap metal. But now, as you see, a lot of people doing their own scrap metal hauling and that sort of thing. So we do still get quite a bit of scrap. Appliances, anything metal with any weight, we try and recycle that and get some revenue for it. Tires, mandated by the government. We have to maintain those. Also, yard trimmings, if you've been to our mulching site, we take anything that's brought into a site, any kind of vegetation, limbs, grass, clippings, leaves, stumps, anything like that, we will take to our site and grind it. And how do we do that? Solid waste, we have roll-off trucks. These are the boxes you'll see at our sites. We have a limb truck, is what we call it, a knuckle boom grapple truck, has operate with joysticks, pick the limbs up and haul those to the sites. And daily pickup. We run every day except for Saturday and Sunday with our roll-off trucks, and if we just get completely swamped, we will run on Saturday. We run every day. We have pickups, as you saw in the picture, with trailers, site to site, countywide, picking up different things, and we haul them to different locations. Sunoco, our limb site on Airport Road, our cardboard site's there, as well as other locations, but majority of our stuff goes to Sunoco Recycling. And kind of last, and one of our bigger, newer operations on Old Airport Road, if you haven't been, is our waste tire and limb site, we call it. As I said, tires are something that's it's a hassle, but it has to be done. But it's also, you don't want to throw them out in the woods and in areas, because it causes a lot of problems, snakes and mosquitoes and things like that. And if it's in the county, if you bring it to us, we don't charge you for tires if it's in Fairfield County. And so we're one of the few counties that that probably does not charge for the tires. But if it's done right, the tire dealerships and all are supposed to be turning that revenue over with ST390 forms, which is supposed to go to the Department of Revenue. So those tires are supposed to be counted for and paid for. So that's on Airport Road, as well as our recycled mulch is on Airport Road as well. If you bring it in, we grind it and then we give it away free, as much as you want. Right now we got boatloads of it, so you can come get all you want. We'll be glad to load it and give it back to you for free. So that's just some things we do. Hope I didn't go too long there. If y'all got any questions, be glad to answer what I can for you.
Mr. Chairman, I just wanted to point out, just echo two things. One is the 350 miles of dirt roads that we have, and actually I saw this firsthand when I was with our fire marshal going around looking at all the fire stations. We have, and from my experience, I've seen a lot of dirt roads in other counties. We have, the way we keep our dirt roads have to be some of the best kept dirt roads in the state of South Carolina. I think our staff does a great job with that. And also, regarding, now we're really kind of growing in our inventory for our paved roads. Of course, from CTC, and Jake, correct me, but I think we have nearly like 75 miles of paved roads now. So that is going to be an issue where we are doing something that's progressive, but the maintenance on that is going to cost us and things that we need to build into the budget process. And that's why we partnered with the CTC on the patching machine that we have, because now since we have 75 miles of road, we also need to be able to maintain to extend the life of those roads. So that's a very positive thing for us, but also an investment that we made.
Yes, sir.
Council? Ms. Mary Lynn?
Chairman, Jake, thank you for your report. Would you tell the audience too about how much we take in a year with recycling programs?
As far as just a tonnage,
Well, the dollars.
well, last year, roundabout, like I said, the biggest revenue we bring in would be the scrap metal, but last year we were between like $80,000 and $90,000. But also with the mulch was one of the biggest things. We had over 500 tons of limbs and debris brought in. And so when we factor that into the 50 a ton, then even though we didn't see that money, we factor that in as a big cost savings. But just with the actual revenue that's brought in from the batteries, aluminum, I believe it was somewhere around 87, 88, I think, thousand, something like that. Majority of that being with the scrap metal, as well as the cardboard. The cardboard has weight, and so that brings us a good bit.
Could I ask him a question? Could I ask him just one simple question? No? I was just pertaining to what he said.
Thank you, Jake.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Musgrave?
Yes, I have a question, Jake. I don't know if you can answer it or the council. It's been announced several times on TV by Governor Nikki Haley that they have applied for and received $1 billion for road, bridges, and other thing, I guess, through the whole state. Would you know whether or not, take Ladd's Road, for instance, tell your car, I would advise don't drive down that road. So with $1 billion out there for the whole state, do we apply, the county or the State Department apply to get some of these roads fixed in Fairfield County?
The way I interpret it is we still work with the CTC, which is the state money. As far as that, I don't know the 100% answer on that, but the way I take it is it's going to apply towards state roads, primary roads, state roads, interstates, 321, primary, and then some secondary roads as well. But for every portion that the state gets, some of that goes into the CTC funds. And so it's kind of like now all the roads we're paving is state money. And so, we kind of take it as if that money goes up, then we, would assume that our county transportation money would go up as well. But I don't think there's a definite answer on that as of yet.
Then we would actually have to go through our delegation because that's where the CTC gets its state money from, is it?
Yes.
Mr. Pope?
Councilman Masseria, though, that's based upon a formula, which is population driven and other things, and so we get a portion of those dollars back, and then of course that goes into the CTC pot, and then we can actually do the things of paving here. But I can tell you that even $1 billion, that is absolutely nothing when it comes to paving roads. So, counties and municipalities have been pretty much kind of left to their own devices to find other creative ways, even though, I mean, we're not sneezing out what we get, but
right.
But that funding formula is, we get a certain portion of those dollars.
And it's actually more, it's actually more we haven't been getting statewide that I can see $1 billion been put up. So I'm just putting it in for Fairfield County. Somebody need to ask for some of that money.
Thank you, Jay.
Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Mr. Pope?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I might need Ms. Brown still on this one. I believe, if you look at this is just a revision to the printed calendar that we had, and I think, and I know Ms. Brown worked very diligently with the fire marshal. There were various things on the calendars that we could not accommodate, but we had to move or change the date for the fireman appreciation from April 21st to May 9th. They had some, firemen had other conferences and stuff like that, so we wanted just to make you aware that that is the new date, and I think the fire marshal did sign off on that, so he left. But he did sign off on that. So, but that is the new date for the fireman appreciation recognition. Unless you have some questions, then we'll go ahead and amend the calendar to to that. Okay? Mr. Chairman, I'll be very brief about the Drawley Park update. What we have is I reported to you at the last council meeting. Actually, on Wednesday, we'll have the last bit of information in the recommendation that was made by staff and also something that the council added on. Of course, we will be employing an engineering firm to review information gathered from S2 and looking at the construction, also the reasons for the failure, and also the remedy for the fix. And we have, through procurement, solicited companies to assist from the county standpoint. And also a part of that is what we will do once we bring that group on board is actually then do the review of what was asked by council, what was amended in that recommendation, to look at some other structures that S2 had participated in to review those as well. So we'll package all those things together, but by the March 10th meeting, we should be able to have that all of that information.
Mr. Poe, I'm sorry, Mr. Ferguson. Did you want to go back to number C, or are you going to take care of that later?
Oh, I'm sorry. Skip right over there. I'm sorry. I recommend item C on the agenda, recommendations from the ad hoc committee regarding the courthouse temporary relocation project. The committee met on Thursday, I believe it was. February the 20th. All the days are running together now because of budget. But the committee met. What we as a staff have done is, of course, we have dollars budgeted for significant renovations that need to occur at our courthouse. We, the staff, have information from Davis and Floyd on the assessment. We allowed the committee to review that information. And in a nutshell, the major challenges with that project are really twofold. Number one, the issues going on over at the courthouse, and we made the committee aware of those issues at the courthouse. But in order to facilitate those, the remodeling or the fixing of that, of course, there's going to have to be a moving of the courthouse staff in order to be able to do that. Based upon how the HVAC system is there, we can't piecemeal do that. So the committee has asked us, they received the information, and also, and I think the rest of council received the same full packet that they did, and maybe you're getting that tonight in your boxes. But what the committee tasked the staff with was getting some additional information, some additional property locations that we were considering to possibly relocate the staff to, and then come back to the committee so that they can make a final recommendation onto the full council. Your staff, we didn't want to expend any more dollars until we actually brought this issue back to the committee and then to the full council before we proceed. However, we all know, and I think the committee members can comment on this, but clearly we do need some significant renovations at the courthouse due to several deficiencies that are occurring there. We also had the clerk of court. She participated in the meeting. She was there with us. We also notify all of the elected officials out of that office because by state law, the clerk, of course, we have to work with her because she has a lot of authority over the day-to-day operations, the management of the courthouse building. So we will be working closely hand in hand with her when we have the next reporting of the courthouse committee.
Mr. Chairman, I would just like to thank staff and Sheila Pickett for putting together a well put together book as far as telling us everything that needs to be done in this search for a new facility, a temporary facility, and it's very professional what staff has done. Thank you, Mr. Pope.
The committee that met on the 20th looked at the considerations of this book. All of them are expensive. There is one main element that if it works out, one of the projects would not be nearly as expensive as trying to lease space from from a company or whatever. But we're in the process now of trying to find out if this alternative measure can be worked out. If we can, it would really save us a lot of headache. It would have everything in one location. The facility's large enough to compensate the whole courthouse, all of the interactions at the courthouse, parking and everything included. So that's where we are with it, and Mr. Pope and myself are trying to set up a meeting with the folks now about seeing if that particular building can be a possibility or not. And just as soon as we do, we'll get back with the full council. One of the things that there's a lot of reasons that would work out good, because we wouldn't be pushed for time. That's one of the things. If we're going to go into another building that we have to lease, of course, you got to pay that monthly fee, and the time that it would take to get the courthouse done would have to be, I mean, you'd be in a hurry-up situation. Like this, if we could get the one that maybe we wouldn't have so much invested in, we wouldn't have to be quite as pushed up in the time that we're going to have to renovate the courthouse and get back into it. Any other council?
I'm going to say, most of you know that this is a very historic courthouse that we have that's built by Robert Mills many years ago, and you just don't know what you're going to find when you actually go in there. And we have to always maintain that credibility for it to be a historic courthouse. We're also going to be working with Justice Toll in regard to courts while we're out of there and holding court.
Anybody else? Mr. Pope?
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, Council, on the next item, item F, staff, I would respectfully ask that we defer this item until the March 10th, our next council meeting. This was an item that the county council had already approved regarding us working on the control panel. We've received information, but there are some additional things I think we need to discuss as a staff before we bring this back to you. But we will schedule this for the March 10th meeting. Letter G.
Letter E.
Skipped over the budget.
Budget update?
You already talked about that?
I already put a check by it. That's
Okay.
We have actually, as a staff, begun our budget meetings with departments and outside agencies. We are thoroughly going through, well, we're doing a number of things. But to just be concise about it is, we're looking at the last several months of this year and finding out if there are any anomalies with the department of issues that need to be addressed. Because as we get closer to the end of the fiscal year, we will send out something from procurement where we'll halt all spending on items, but we're reviewing all those things and checking the budgets and seeing where they are percentage-wise with their FY 13-14 budgets. Also reviewing their budget requests. All departments were requested to submit budget requests where we're going through those, literally line item by line item, finding out what the needs of the department are, and for them providing the justifications to those. We do have upcoming scheduled budget work sessions that are part of our discussion of the budget with the council. We have a pretty tight schedule. I don't know if I've ever been a part of a local government where we've adopted, had final reading by May 15th, but that's on our schedule, and we will certainly meet that task, but we still have yet a lot of work underway with a lot of major challenges to go. So, but I think from a staff process, I think the staff has, I won't use the word enjoyed, but I think we've had a structured process and have gathered a lot of information, hopefully, and you will be satisfied with the budget that we will recommend to you. I can scratch that one off. Letter G, the Center Creek listing agreement. Mr. Chairman, the council, what I'm asking here is, and I wanted to get your approval, as you can recall, from the Economic Development Committee made a recommendation to the full council to offer for public sale the 405 acres of property that the county had purchased back in 2002. As a part of that motion, the council directed the staff for us to move forward and publicly market that property, and I think our minutes from that particular meeting are being approved tonight. So what we would like to, what I would recommend to you that we do is, in order to expedite that process so that we can hopefully have some information back, at least during the budget process, would be for us to renew our agreement with the same agent that was procured on the property before. That's Ms. Beverly Frost, who worked with the county. That contract was actually procured where we went out and publicly solicited realtors to work. There are no conflicts with this person working with us. Of course, the contract would be made public as to what we're doing, but we could actually have someone who has expertise in that area to be able to market it and to find out if there are potential buyers out there, so that information could be brought back to the council for consideration. And of course, under the administrative authority, I can do that. I just publicly wanted to get your permission to move forward with that so we can go ahead and expedite that process that you've already approved.
Do I have a motion?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Second. All right. Any questions? Ready for the vote? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed by the same sign. One abstention. Mr. Brown. Okay. Mr. Pope?
Mr. Chairman, the next item is letter H, and this is one of the items that we will request a executive session on. However, it's just to refresh your memories about this and the audiences as well. This council has already approved staff to move forward with the construction of wastewater infrastructure to serve the Fairfield Commerce Center and the Walter Brown II speculative building. We have an issue with the vendor that we need to discuss with the council, and we would report that out once you've heard that information in executive session. The next item is similar as well. This is one of the ones that we added to our agenda. This was a legal update. This, of course, we will report out publicly as well after a council briefing in executive session. This is regarding a legal settlement regarding an assessment of property in Fairfield County. But we'll provide that information, and then we will publicly report to the public an update regarding any discussions or decisions after executive session. The last item under my report, Mr. Chairman, is regarding the federal flood maps, or the federal flood insurance program. We, several months ago, I think it was maybe Ms. Robinson and I think Mr. Brown had made mention of constituents of theirs regarding insurance premium information after the federal flood maps, of course, were readopted back, I think, in 2011. Based upon the adoption of the flood maps, and I can tell you communities all across the southeast, a lot of communities are having some real challenges with the new maps, because the direct result of the new maps are some citizens, of course, are receiving premiums from their insurance carriers that are having extensive and significant increases on their premiums. I met with some citizens this past week regarding this information. They are actually very informed about what's going on around in their community. But this is actually, in my opinion, a county-wide issue that we need to address, because it's not only just people who live around the water bodies that we typically think of, like Lake Wateree or Lake Monticello, but also if you live close to a river or a stream or something like that, then you could be impacted, or your property could be impacted as far as flood insurance goes. So what I would like to do is, we also need to look at the infrastructure here at the county and our approval process through planning and zoning to make sure that we have all of the necessary regulations in place, and look at the maps, because if there could be adjustments in the BFE or the base flood elevations, we can actually help our citizens immensely who may have issues with these increases in their flood insurance premiums. I will tell you, this is also a national issue. There, of course, is legislation that's going through our federal government now regarding this. I think we are trying to get our representatives from this area to assist us with that. And so I think we need to bring on some additional help to do really two things. Number one is to review our policies and practices internally, but also to be able to have a resource for citizens in particular areas to be able to help them out as well. So we would like to bring back an agreement that we would, in essence, like to facilitate that with. I know Kershaw County, some people, of course, along Lake Wateree, Kershaw County residents are having some of the same issues. But like I said, it's just not people who live around bodies of water. But if you live near a blue stream or a stream that you think that's been dry for 25 or 30 years, if you have a 75-year or 25-year rain event, all of that could change based upon where those lines are. So this is, I think, a significant issue that we need to address here at the county. Have any questions?
I'll make a comment. Not only does it, like you say, affect the folks who actually live on a river or a big lake or something, but it's going to affect all the building permits as we would have them throughout the county, because they're either going to come to building and zoning, or lots of times they look at the assessor's office to tell them if that piece of property is in a flood zone. And if it is, we need to know that so that we don't have the liability of having it wrongly marked. And because that can happen. I know in the past we've had people who are out there and they get the flood certificates from the surveyor, and then this is all moved up so much higher that just one block in the house can be in a flood zone, and they're going to be susceptible, especially if they refinance their home, to flood insurance. So it is going to affect this entire county. I think about lots of places that I saw a few weeks ago that I hadn't seen water in it for a long time. And just to think, if somebody had built a home that even touched a portion of that, they could have been responsible, or we could have possibly been responsible for allowing them to do that. So this is a very important problem that we need to face and deal with in this county. Thank you.
Vice Chair.
Mr. Chairman, if I could add to that, maybe we need to have some information on this regarding the flood problem that we're having when we go to Washington, when we meet with Senator Graham and Congressman Mulvaney, to make sure they're fully aware how we feel about this. So we could get the administrator to put some information in that package, so we'll be able to present when we go up.
Senator Graham is an author of this bill in support of it in Washington. We've requested possibly that Mulvaney really put his name to it and try to work toward that once it gets to the House. But anything y'all can do will be greatly appreciated.
Mr. Montreal.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I have a question. You know, you got Broad River that runs to the western part, and they draw water from there constantly into the reservoir for the nuclear power plant. So I don't know about flooding in the lakes, but I've seen Broad River come and overflood the track, the railroad tracks. That must be, what, 10, 15 feet high in that area. So how would that impact lakes? Is there anything about flooding? Could that flooding in lakes, or could that have a potential problem?
Well, the way this thing is laid out, Ms. Marshall, the floodplain is supposed to be laid out for the whole entire county, well, for every county, not just this county, for every county. So, yeah, it's, if it's got a possibility of it, it's supposed to be mapped out as such.
Mr. Chairman, I think as far as Lake Monticello is controlled, the backwater at the Paw Dam and the other dams up and down Ball River definitely has flood maps already, and you got flood maps all the way up and down the Ball. If it's floodable, it definitely shows it to you on the flood maps.
Mr. Pope?
Just the other thing is we as a county, we're in the flood insurance program, which actually, by us being in that, offers a discount on the premiums. And so it's my understanding, and I don't know this, but I think with the town, for instance, you have other jurisdictions that I think that we need to create a conversation with in Fairfield County to see how they're similarly situated, because, of course, they're all our constituents because they're county residents, but each jurisdiction can control its own say about whether or not they're in the National Flood Insurance Program. So that would also be a part of what I'm discussing is us having discussions with the other political subdivisions regarding this, because this is a big issue for everyone right now with the new maps coming out.
Mr. Pope, do you have someone or some person in mind or some company in mind to help us with looking into this?
No, sir, it's not Parker Pope. But if they did, if they were good for this county, I certainly recommend it. But no, actually, the person, actually her name, and she didn't mind me using her name. Some of the citizens I met with last week, her name is Lisa Jones. She is actually a floodplain expert. She worked for the Department of Natural Resources. I believe she retired from them. She's been out on her own business for the past several years, and that's the person who could initially come in and, like I said, just from a county standpoint, to review our policies and practices, and also be a resource to our citizens in the county. Because, for instance, I mean, some people may need to have like a letter of map revision. I know some of the people around Lake Wateree, I mean, they've looked at having their own consultants, but I think by them having a resource, we may be able to save our folks, citizens, some money, where they don't have to do those things if the county assists, because I think this is a public issue for us to address.
Okay. The process then, I suppose, Ms. Pope, would be to get a proposal from this young lady and bring it back to the council?
Yes, sir, it would.
Okay.
All of it will be public.
Okay, is that amenable to the council? No, we won't, we'll vote on it when the proposal comes back, okay? Anything else, Ms. Pope?
No, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
We're now down to the clerk, the council's report. Ms. Brown. Okay. We're now down to 15-second public comment, Ms. Brown.
Ms. Selwyn Turner, on discretionary fund.
15 seconds, all
Number 15.
Selwyn Turner, District 2. I'd like to know how one becomes a recipient of each council member's $3,500 a year discretionary fund. Why do only certain churches and organizations receive our taxpayers' money directly from their district council members in the council members' names, instead of going before the entire council if they have legitimate needs? What are your criteria for this free money? In 2012, one member gave $2,700 of her money to her church, her former church, several other churches, and select organizations. Another member gave $2,300 to 5 churches and other select organizations. Another gave $2,600 to some kind of vague community improvement committee nobody knew anything about. Other communities might like some of your money that just drops down from heaven to get kids off the street into a softball league like the one to whom one member gave $500 in 2013. Another gave $2,600 to 6 churches. One gave $17 to a volunteer fire department. Another to the $800 to the town of Winsboro in Ward 1 community. They give this $3,500 a year of our taxpayer money in their name as if it comes straight from their pockets. All of this smells like a violation to me of separation of church and state. You need to stay out of the church's business with your free gifts. From what I've seen in the few months I've been attending your meetings, you do not exercise wisdom, good judgment, or restraint in spending taxpayers' money. You should have your hands full just tending to Fairfield County business, which you don't do well either. There appears to be an ulterior motive in the disbursement of these funds. Could it be for votes for re-election? You are elected to improve Fairfield County. If you ride around the county, you'll see your efforts have been in vain. It has been said, and I'll say it again, either you don't know what you're doing or you do know, and you're looking out only for yourself and a vote, not Fairfield County. You have betrayed the public trust. You should never have been given $3,500 for your discretion. Thank you.
Amen.
Thank you, Elizabeth Jenkins. Hilton Head Policy and Criminal Backgrounds.
Beth Jenkins, Winsboro, District 2. It came to my attention, and I've been doing some research, that there's no criminal background checks done on employees that work for the county. I think that some of the people that work with computers and some of the other people need to make sure that we have criminal background checks done on them. I'm not saying that all employees that have a criminal record, I'm talking felons. I'm not talking about misdemeanors. Everyone makes a mistake and deserves a second chance, and I think we need to make sure that that is accurate. On Drawdy Park, I do have, what engineering firm? There's a lot of different types of engineering firms, and have you put this out for bid? Are they qualified? Are they right kind of engineers? And what staff member knows and is an architect or an engineer out there giving you information? That's really concerning that you're going to spend more money on top of really bad money. And then this is my 6th time asking about a Hilton Head travel policy. I think from looking through the paperwork the past 5 years, not a single member of this council went to anything the first day of the conference. No women went the second day. 2009, everyone except for Mr. Trapp went to an extended information on the second day. From there on, it's all volunteer. I don't think that you need to keep going every year. And I think passing it off, these villas and all of this money being spent on your accommodations to your staff, I think you need to have in the policy for hotel rooms. There's 3,760 hotel rooms on that island. You don't have to be on site. It's not necessary. You can drive 5 minutes from somewhere else or 15 minutes from somewhere else. I did the math. You can save half. Right now you spend approximately $18,000 a year for 1 week. It's not necessary to go for a week. It's not necessary to spend $18,000. I think you can do it on $9,000 and get your education. I also see that there's a lot of planning and zoning, developing good leadership skills, public budgeting and financial management available to you at these conferences. Not a single member here signed up for one. I think you need those classes. I also think that you should check into doing an ethics class. I'm not sure if the state provides those for free, but I think that each and every one of you could use an update. I did send out Facebook pictures. There was an untruth said in the newspaper that one of your council members went there, and this last year was the first year. the Facebook pictures show a council member with her grandchildren in the pool, shopping at the mall, and she's just so busy. I think it's horrific. I think the untruths need to stop. Mr. Chairman, you stated that to the newspaper that there's no rooms available. Okay, thank you. Make a change, please.
Thank you. Mr. John E. Smalls on the subject of small business development concerns. I'm sorry, Mr. Smalls, let me correct myself. Let me call Miss Carrie Matthews. I'm like Mr. Pope, I was checking early. I'm sorry. Miss Carrie Matthews, please come.
I'll swap. Go ahead and let him talk. I'll come in a minute.
Okay, she said she'll swap with you.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the County Council.
Microphone.
Can't hear you. To our chairman, members of the County Council, administrator, staff, and citizens. My name is John Smalls. I am a lifelong citizen of Fairfield County. I've been away from the county for a long time, working, but I have since retired and I live in Fairfield County now. And my concern I want to talk about very briefly tonight, jobs creation in our county. I very, very much appreciate the jobs that have been brought in, Element and the new plant that came in recently. Really want to thank council and the state for the role that you played and the investment that you've given those companies. I think it's very beneficial to our county. But what I want to speak about a little bit are small businesses. You know, it's very, very good to incentivize these large companies because they bring in lots of folks. But you know, we have a number of small businesses in Fairfield County that are struggling and attempting to become businesses. These are local people, these are taxpayer individuals who have worked always in this county, and they're trying to start businesses that can be very, very helpful to our county. And I don't really know what to do, but I'm sure that we'll get wisdom on this county council staff. They can come up with ways and means to help to incentivize small developing businesses, because these businesses will be around for a while. You know, I very much appreciate the work and the encouragement that comes from the Chamber of Commerce as they help to publicize and to encourage these businesses. But there's more that's needed here. And I think that we really need to look at this. It's very, very good to incentivize these large companies. But these small companies, that folks that are local, folks that are from Fairfield County, folks that live here, folks that pay taxes here, they need support as well. And we need to find ways and means to do that for these small businesses. And I encourage you to do that. Being away for a while, coming back, I have had the opportunity to peruse the county, look at these small businesses, and they're popping up all over the county. But a lot of them are not. They're struggling. And so we need to find ways and means to help these businesses, because they will be here for a long period of time, and they will encourage others to stay here in Fairfield County. So we need to find ways to do that. Yes, bring in the big businesses, but let's look at our local folks, and let's look at ways to do that and to keep them here and to help them prosper. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Carrie Matthews now for District 3 concerns.
I am Carrie Matthews. I live in the White Oak community. Thank you, Mr. Smalls. That was a wonderful talk. Hear, hear. I'm one of the nobodies from District 3 that I've read about in the paper who, you know, either didn't know what they were talking about or didn't live in the district. I do live in District 3, and I am concerned about things going on in District 3. There are two things that I want to mention today that have concerned me for quite a while. I'm glad to see my representative back in the council meetings. Thank you very much. But a couple of things that have disturbed me. One is that I have 3 daughters, and when each has graduated from high school, she has received a check, a nice $50 check, congratulating her on her graduation from high school, which I think is a wonderful thing for us to recognize our graduates. But I have not allowed my daughters to cash the checks or to accept that money. The main reason being that as it comes from an elected official, it feels strongly to me like vote buying or encouraging people to vote for somebody. I think that's kind of unfortunate when their children turn 18 for them to get money that is written, a personal check written from a county representative. The second thing is kind of in the same vein. Got a nice newsletter last summer telling about the things that have been going on in the county council.